Hey guys, my name is Evan and welcome to Country View Acres. So yesterday me and Rebecca, we ended up coming out here and we fenced in this area back here behind the pole barn. This is going to be an outside run for our dog kennel. And that room right there, that is our dog kennel right there. And this fenced in area is only half as big as we plan it to be. Once we do all this dirt work, we still have lots of dirt work to do, but once we continue this dirt work around this side and down that side of the barn, once that's done, we're gonna change this fencing, and we're probably gonna fence in an area to about here and then back up to the pole barn. It'll be twice as big as it is today, but that probably won't be until next year sometime. So what we want to do this weekend is we want to get this to be a usable space. So we're going to try to wrap a lot of things up on this project. So this is the inside of our dog kennel, and our plan is to break this room into two parts. So this part back here is going to be the dog kennel, and this side over here is going to be a storage area. So to break that in half, we're going to basically put a fence across the room to break it in half. So we're going to build some fence panels. We're going to weld together some fence panels, and we're going to have ourselves a metal gate that's going to swing open right here, and that's going to separate our two halves of this room. And that's probably where we're going to go ahead and start today and see if we can get this room divided up. All right, I've got my fence panels made up, and they're gonna sit somewhere close to there. So I've got my fence panels made for each side, and the way these attach, I've made it so there's a bolt hole at the top to attach to the wall, and then each foot has 2 bolts. So a total of 4 bolts to hold each panel to the floor, and I'm hoping that that's gonna make this rigid enough that it's gonna stand up straight fairly good. We'll just have to wait and see. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a door to fit here. This is roughly a 30-inch opening, so we're gonna make the hinges, the door, and the latch. And once we get that made up, we'll probably get this all painted and mounted here in the room. So a normal dog kennel, I think, is normally about 5 to 6 feet tall, and this is just over 4 feet tall. And that's because Rebecca wanted it that way. She wanted to be able to reach over and give the dogs some treats or be able to pet them, and she wanted it this short. So hopefully this is gonna work out. We're just gonna have to wait and see once we get the dogs in here. So I thought about making my own hinges, but I ended up finding these weld-on hinges at our local farm store. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna weld these on, and I should be good. All right, I think that'll work. Well, we're waiting for the paint to dry on those. We're gonna go ahead and try to cut out the doggy doors. So I'm just gonna drill the 4 corners out, and then hopefully I can get a saw or something in there and I can cut this out. I see light. So I've got my holes here for where the doggy door is, and I've got that metal cutting blade on the saw. I'm going to try that first, and I'm just going to try to connect the dots. So here's our doggy door. You can see it's got 2 flaps, one on the outside of the wall and one on the inside of the wall. Hopefully it's deep enough to fit on here. So the door wasn't quite big enough. You can see there's a little bit of a gap between it, but they should still be able to go out and in, no problem. So obviously the doggy door was made to go up against a flat surface. So we got some pretty big holes in here. We're just going to take some clear caulking. We're going to try to seal up around the door. Luckily this is under the porch and it's not going to be in the direct rain or anything. So I'm just hoping to seal it up the best I can. Well, it's been a few days since we've worked on this project. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, so I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. But instead of shopping on Black Friday, we're going to be working on the dog kennel again. So in the meantime, what we didn't film is we did get the panels in here and we got them aligned. We put a chalk line on the floor to make sure everything was straight. We've leveled everything up and we've marked our holes in the concrete where we're going to anchor these down. And that's what we're going to be doing next. We're actually going to take the panels back out of here so we can drill our anchors. And then we'll bring them back in here. And when we bolt them to the floor, we're going to try to level them up as best we can. So there is a drain right here in the floor. I'm standing on the drain. So the floor is unlevel around the drain. So to level these panels up, I'm probably going to put some spacers, like some washers, underneath the feet to get everything so it's straight up and down. And I think that'll work out for us and we'll get it bolted to the floor. And the only thing left we'll have to do is to put a latch on this gate. And that should get, you know, the cage portion of the inside of this room done. I went ahead and put some tape on the drill bit so I could know how deep to go. So these are a drop-in concrete anchor, and you have to set them in place with this setting tool, and you just gotta hammer down here and it'll lock them in place. It'll expand that anchor. And you just pound that down until it's down all the way. All right, so this one hole here is not lined up with the anchor, and I drilled that anchor a little bit crooked. That was my first one. So I'm just gonna make the hole a little bit bigger in the foot, and then hopefully we can get that last bolt in. It will open and close. I mean, it's going to scrape the concrete. What do you think?
Yeah, you're in here now. Got a nice big place.
What do you think? Got a little area here, don't you? You do.
We gotta go get their water and food and beds now, and they'll be at home.
So this is a temporary gate that I had made up a couple years ago. I don't think I've ever shown it on the channel, but this is just a 4-foot gate, and then it's hung from a T-post. And it just has the gate pins, the hinge pins are welded to the side of this T-post. And the idea was you could just drive this T-post in anywhere and you'd have a quick gate. Because we were always setting up temporary fencing for chickens or for goats or different things. And after I put this together, I quickly realized that it wasn't easy to drive in the ground because it's too short. If you put the fence driver over it, it actually hits the pin, the hinge pin. So if I was to do this again, I would have done like a 7-foot fence post and welded the pins onto it. And I could still get the fence pounder over the top and drive it in. But the way this one works out, I basically have to use like a sledgehammer or something to be able to drive that post in the ground. So it didn't work out real well the way I configured it. But it works fine for like a 4-foot gate like this. So this is temporary. This is just temporary for now, this gate. And when next year, hopefully we get all the dirt work done around this pole barn, we'll put this fencing in probably more permanent. And when we do it, we'll put in a bigger gate, one that like a lawnmower will fit through, because we're going to need to be able to get in here and mow the grass when the grass comes up. So we'll probably end up putting like a 6-foot gate on this dog pen or this dog run later on. But this little 4-foot gate should work for now. So we've always had trouble with the dogs chewing up any bed that we ever got them. And there's only a couple beds that have ever worked for us. So every time my wife would get a nice puffy bed, they would rip it up, tear all the stuffing out of it. So we decided to look for a dog-proof bed. And she ended up finding these. These are a canine ballistic dog bed, and they're like a cot. So they can't chew, they can't get to the fabric because it's completely surrounded by metal. Now I will say they're not 100% dog-proof. They're still gonna chew on whatever they can get to, right? So they can chew on the legs, they can get to the legs. And there used to be rubber pads on the feet, and they've chewed all the feet off of them. So it's just a metal foot now. And we just would use these outside for the dogs to be able to lay on them. And you can see that the plastic on the bottom has come off of this one, and the one on this one's starting to rip. But overall, these beds have withstood the dogs, and we're gonna leave these on the outside run for them somewhere to lay outside. But this is a canine ballistic dog bed, and pretty happy with it. Just wish they would have made like a hard plastic foot or something that wouldn't have came off. So if I'd put those inside, that metal leg on there would scratch up the floor, so we can't use them inside, but they work pretty good outside. So the other dog bed that has worked for us are these Carhartt dog beds. These are fairly thin. I don't know if you can tell that. They're not real puffy. So I guess there's not a lot of stuffing in them for them want to pull out of them. And these have lasted fairly long. I think we've had these for about a year. And this is what we would put in their dog crate. So when they would lay down in their dog crate, this is their bed that they had. And we're going to put these in the inside of the kennel. So we'll have these two dog mats inside. We'll have those canine ballistics outside on the porch. So Rebecca thought maybe that the dogs chewing the beds, that maybe that was like a puppy thing, wanting to chew on stuff. So she decided that she would try to get them a nice new bed. And about a month ago, she ended up buying 2 nice big fluffy beds for the dogs. And she thought, you know, maybe they would be fine with them. Well, those beds didn't end up lasting. I don't even think they lasted 7 days. And they had holes chewed in them and all of the stuffing pulled out and everywhere. And yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a puppy thing because the dogs are close to 2 years old now. So I think anything puffy like that, they're going to chew on. So luckily those Carhartt beds, being as thin as they are, I think that's why they work for us. So I do have one more thing that I want to install in this room, and then I think that's pretty much going to finish off the inside. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the dog kennel build, at least for this year. I don't think we'll touch this project again until after all the dirt is added around the pole barn. And once we do that, we'll probably take this fence out and put in permanent fencing and make a permanent dog run that's a lot bigger. But I think we're done with this dog kennel project for now. So it should work for us until then. So we just got done installing that fan right there on the ceiling. We bought that several months ago. We planned on putting that in. So there's an outlet on the ceiling that we installed specifically for that fan. And then we actually put another outlet on this side of the ceiling in case we wanted to add another one. But we should be able to aim that fan somewhat and to give the dogs a cool place to lay in the summertime. And in the wintertime, to heat the place, we can obviously just plug in a little electric heater. This whole room's pretty much insulated, so we should be able to heat this space and make a nice warm area for the dogs whenever they end up being locked up in the kennel. So the fencing here, I do think that's going to work out really good. We made it so I think it's about 2 inches off the ground, and that's just high enough that a tennis ball will not roll out from under it. It's tall enough that their dog bowl won't slide out from under it too. So I think everything we put in there with the dogs should stay in there, and hopefully they can't push anything out from under that fence. And the doggy door, of course, they're going to have to learn how to use. We did coax them through it several times. We tried to help them through it, and we did get them to go all the way through it on their own without having to push on the flaps or anything. They push the flaps open themselves. So there is a little training involved when you get dogs with a doggy door. You have to kind of get them used to it. But anyway, I think this turned out really good. I'm really happy with the way that it did turn out. I think it looks great. This whole project's been a big project. It's been time consuming. We've probably had 3 or 4 videos on this dog kennel build, and each one of them has been probably at least 3 days worth of work in each one of those videos. So that has taken up almost a month of weekends trying to get this dog kennel done. So I'm glad that it's finally done and over with, at least for now. And we'll be able to move on to something else. So hopefully I can, on the pole barn itself, we can start putting a ceiling in here, get it where I can actually heat it, because it is actually getting cold. It's actually getting to where it's starting to stay right around below freezing, the 20s and 30s. You know, most of the time it's actually finally getting to cold weather. And I'd really like to be able to get the pole barn heated. I'd like to get out there and start working on some firewood. And then the bank barn, the old wooden bank barn, livestock barn, I think we got a project coming up on that we'll start working on that old barn again. So hopefully that's some stuff that'll be coming up in some future videos. But for right now, I'm glad that this is done. And this is good enough for us to use for now. And hopefully later we'll actually get that outside run, you know, in a year or so. Hopefully that we'll get that fenced in permanently, and we'll make that look a little bit nicer, and it'll be a lot bigger. But for now, you know, anytime we leave the house for an extended period of time, we can at least put the dogs out here and lock them up, and the dogs have a nice big area for them to be able to run around. They have a place where they can stay warm, and I think that'll work out great, because when me and Rebecca are gone at work, we're gone for 12 hours at a time, and this is just going to be a lot better place for the dogs to be able to spend that time, you know, when we're gone during the day. So I think this is going to work out great for the dogs. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Good